when you say Daniel will be your starter, does that mean you won't draft a quarterback next year?
No, it does. I think we're going to have to do something in the quarterback, whether it's free agency or the draft. I mean, just where we are. Tyrod's contract's up. DeVito is obviously under contract, and Daniel, we don't know when he's going to be ready. So, just from an off-season program standpoint, I think that'll be a position that we'll have to look. Again, there's different avenues, free agency or the draft, but we'll have to address it at some point.
There's addressing the position, and there's using a possible first round pick on the position. So where are you on that spectrum? I mean, if there's a player that you like there that's a quarterback in the first round, would you make that choice?
Yeah, we'll take the best player available. If the best player available, for our team is at a certain position, we'll take it. I mean, we won't shy away from it. And again, that's a ways away. The draft in April, so we're still working through all that in the off-season progress. So we have to come up with a plan, like I said, just for the off-season. Right now, Tommy's the only one. I almost said Danny DeVito. Tommy's the only one that's under contract. So we'll look at all different avenues there.
How much work have you done on the top quarterbacks in this class?
I've done a lot of work on the entire draft. I'm further ahead this year than last year. Last year, kind of being the first in season as general manager, different schedule than what I've had in the past as an assistant GM or director of player personnel. So, I tweaked my process a little bit this year so I can stay up on all positions.
What is your evaluation of 1, Evan Neal, and 2, Tommy DeVito?
Yeah, I think I'll start with Tommy. Tommy's done a good job as an undrafted free agent. He's come a long way since he arrived here in May as an undrafted guy, and that's a testament to his work ethic and buying into the process, and Shea and Kafka and what they're teaching him, and he's taken care of the football the last couple of weeks, and he's done a good job. He's got some swagger and some presence about him that the players like and they follow him, and again, Evan got off to a really good camp, had a concussion, missed a couple weeks, came back, and needs to play better. Evan needs to play better. He knows that. And look forward to getting back here when he's healthy. But I think he'd admit there's some things that he can do better, and we look forward to continue to improve.
Joe, when you look at a couple of things on Daniel, how do you assess how he played at the start of the season, those first 5 starts, and also is there a worry that he has not been able to stay healthy? I mean, he's had some major injuries. Obviously, the knee is the last one, but 2 necks. He's had lower leg things that moving forward with him, how much of an issue is that?
Yeah, and any of these guys coming off the knees, it takes some time, like Wandell, DJ Davidson, Beavers, some of the guys that had him last year for us. It does take time to come back to that injury, and some are able to respond quicker than others. It depends on the patient. And then Daniel, early on, again, we got off to that rough start. We had 3 games in 11 days. There were some injuries after week 2. A short week, you're going to play San Francisco without your starting left tackle, starting guard, and Saquon. I mean, that's a tough task for anybody. You guys have probably seen San Francisco enough this season to know that's a really good defense. So, again, I think again, does Daniel wish you could have some throws back or some games back or do some things differently? Probably, but it's a team game. There's 11 guys out there, and everybody's got to be on the same page and do their job. So, we got to continue to build the team. The quarterback position is important, but it's ultimately a team game, and it's not all on Daniel by any means.
Why did you make the Leonard Williams trade when you did? Obviously, the deadline, but why did you make it there?
Yeah, I think the draft compensation. When Seattle called and offered a second-round pick, for a 29-year-old player that was on an expiring contract, we had 9 games left. It just made the most sense long-term in terms of the build.
Why did you make Saquon unavailable at the trade deadline? It seems kind of counter to how you operate.
Why did I make Saquon? I wasn't going to move him. We had a conversation about it. It wasn't even when it came, I think some of you guys asked a question about that maybe a couple weeks before the trade deadline or the week of, and just to eliminate distraction. Again, I think it's what you just said. He's one of our most productive offensive players right now. To move that guy, it just didn't make any sense, and we didn't take any calls or receive any calls on him.
So where do you think the construction of the offensive line went wrong this year?
Where it went
wrong?
Andrew Thomas getting hurt the first series of the game, the season. I mean, that doesn't help when you lose an all-pro left tackle. I think we have, through 11 weeks, we had 9 different starting O-line combinations, which is the second most in 15 years. We have 21 different O-line combinations, which is the 4th most in 15 years. So, we were down to our 5th and 6th offensive tackles. It's hard to prepare for that when you have 8 or 9 on the roster. So when you go to camp, you're talking about your 5th and 6th offensive tackle being the 4th quarter of the 3rd preseason game. Like that's in reality, that's what you're talking about. So, you know, we won 10 games with the same offensive line last year, with the exception of John Michael Schmitz. We inserted him for, you know, Gates went on to Washington. I know you'd asked about him. And, you know, Feliciano went on to San Francisco. So, again, we ran it back with the same guys. We thought John Michael would be an upgrade in there, which he's done a good job for us. And again, as you're building this, back to Patty's question, like, you have to, you know, was it more weapons for Daniel? Was it outside backers? Was it corner? We're trying to build this thing. As much as, you know, we want instant gratification and, you know, instant results, there's an element of patience as you build it and try to build it the right way. And you can't address everything overnight. And we're going to continue to work on it, and I do believe in building it up front, and offensive line's important, and probably didn't play as well as we needed to early on. And it's not all on the offensive line. You know, sometimes it's, you know, 11 guys on the same page. Receiver doesn't run the right route. The quarterback doesn't get the read or doesn't pull the trigger. I mean, there's several different reasons, and then the continuity amongst those 5 is very important, whether you're passing off stunts in games, the communication up there. And when it's in a revolving door, it's hard for the continuity and those guys to gel consistently. So, and that's a long-winded answer, but there's various reasons to, you know, some of the issues up front that we've seen this year. But, you know, we'll continue to address it.
How much would you say your voice is heard in terms of the depth chart or who plays? And I'm asking that because there's a theory out there that Eric Gray was kind of forced into the punt returner job because the front office used a draft pick on him and didn't want to see him wasted.
Yeah, I understand where you're going with that. That's on me. To be honest with you, that's another, Patty. Again, we tried to address the punt return. Like, we knew it was an issue in the draft. Some of the guys we liked went probably higher than where we deem, you know, you take a guy. Eric had done it at Tennessee, and he did it at Oklahoma, and we were comfortable. The coaches were comfortable. We were comfortable going into the into the regular season based off what we were seeing. I know Crowder's having success in Washington. You bring him up. You know, we kept 7 receivers. We couldn't keep 8. You know, do the math. Who do you move on from the group if you kept Crowder? You know, so there were some moving parts in there, and that's just me being candid with you, and that's on me. You know, the returner. I'm glad we got Gunner here, though. He's done a really good job for us. You know, Eric's got a bright future, and we probably put him in a spot that wasn't most comfortable for him earlier, you know, either. But you know, he went out there, didn't flinch an eye, didn't bat an eye, and did what he could. But again, that's on me early on. We couldn't do everything overnight, and as much as we wanted to, and that was a position we continued to look for. And you know, Pittsburgh let Gunner go, and we were able to get him.